Startling security footage helps bring man who abandoned his dog to justice. But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe to HappyWorld, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories. That any pet owner would choose to abandon their dog on the side of the road instead of taking them to a shelter where they could be cared for and put up for adoption is a maddening thought. Yet, it happens all the time. On one stretch of road off a highway in Dallas, Texas, this happens all the time. In fact, it's so widely known as a place where people will abandon their unwanted pets that animal control began monitoring the area. Still, it's rare that these people are ever caught and brought to justice. So when one man cruelly left his dog, KD, on the roadside, there wasn't much hope he'd ever be caught. Then an incredible thing happened. It's impossible to explain how or why someone who wasn't able to provide a pet with the proper care would adopt one in the first place. Nevertheless, people like this exist, and it results in an alarming rate of abandoned animals all over the world. That's what happened here in Dallas, Texas. In a remote location off a highway in Dallas sits a stretch of road where irresponsible pet owners commonly abandon their animals. The animal dumping has become so frequent that local animal control has to regularly monitor the area, and it's just about had enough. So when one man recently drove to that stretch of road and suspiciously pulled over, it wasn't surprising to witness what happened next. He let his dog, KD, out of the vehicle, returned to his car, and simply drove away, leaving poor KD to fend for herself. Little did the man know that justice was about to be served in a big way. Poor KD was on the side of the road for 9 whole hours without food and water before a group of animal rescuers found her. As they approached, the rescuers noted that she had a large chain placed around her neck. The chain had become entangled in a mix of branches and roadside brush, which prohibited her from moving. After managing to free her, the rescuers rushed her to a local animal shelter where she could be properly evaluated for any possible injuries she'd sustained. In the meantime, animal control got to work in tracking down the man who left KD. In most cases involving abandoned animals, it's rare to find the abusive or neglected owners, yet KD's owner was caught on surveillance cameras that happened to be recording nearby. Authorities were able to identify the man by his license plates, and they quickly secured a warrant for his arrest. A few weeks later, 62-year-old George Spears turned himself in. While being questioned, George explained that KD had actually belonged to his sister, who was unable to control the dog. He decided to abandon the pup on the side of the road on her behalf. Clearly, it was still a crime as he was charged with animal cruelty. Meanwhile, things were looking up for KD. Thankfully, because of the hardworking staff at the animal shelter, it wasn't long before KD found herself a new forever home. Her new owners, Regan Henderson and Zachary San Roman, adopted the 1-year-old pooch shortly after she arrived at the shelter. The couple felt incredibly lucky to have found KD. "She's one of the sweetest dogs I've ever met," Regan explained. From the looks of it, KD was thoroughly enjoying her cuddle time with her new adoptive parents too. Regan and Zachary were thankful to the rescuers who helped bring their sweet new pooch to them. KD is so loving and brings so much happiness into our lives. She's just so grateful to have people loving on her all the time. That someone could ever imagine abandoning an innocent dog on the side of the road is obviously a confounding thought. Thankfully, because of that handy surveillance camera and attentive rescuers, she's getting a second chance. How could anyone leave such a sweet dog to fend for themselves like that? Hopefully, this story will deter further crimes like this one.